Oh hey, Karlamon here, and I welcome you to my first Q&A video. Or is it my first, because I swear I've done something similar like this back in, 11 years ago?
What do you think about this whole Xbox One versus PS4 thing? Pretty silly, huh? Because, you know, always online, DRM, never works.
I was so cringe back in 2013, and yet my argument still holds true to this day, somehow. But anyways, for this Q&A, I was able to gather 16 questions over social media, primarily on Twitter. So, I won't hold you up any further, let's get into it. Starting with the first question. Blaz asks, "G'day mate, how are you today?" I'm doing very good, thank you. Jack asks, "So if you like aviation, what is your favourite military aircraft?" While I'm more into civilian side of aviation, there's still plenty of military aircraft I'm quite fond of. You know, stuff like iconic World War II fighters like the Spitfire, Mustang, and the Crosshair. And if we're going modern, I would say the FA-18 Hornet because I have quite fond memories flying that thing in the Flight Simulator 10 expansion pack. And I also have a fondness of the heavy strategic transport aircraft, including the Illusion 96, the Boeing C-17, and also the Lockheed C-5 Galaxy. Those are all iconic. Banjo asks, "What's your favourite pastime? Either video games, hiking, going out and seeing conventions or events, etc.? I personally enjoy all the things that you have listed, along with watching movies and maybe some TV shows, and a lot of internet browsing, where I chat with a lot of online friends there. I probably need to do more in life than just browse the internet and fix computer problems. Hopefully I can overcome that sometime." James asks, "Are you into horror movies that don't rely on gore fest, or just not your type of film genre to watch?" Well, I'd say I'm not specifically a total fan of the horror genre. Not to say that it's bad, but it can result into some rather unsettling feelings. Plus, for some of the horror movies that I have seen, I would say that they are nothing too great. But I will say that I prefer some of the more comical takes on the horror genre, such as Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Monster House, Paranorman, Red Eye, and even Snakes on the Plane. I really like the latter specifically because it works as a legit horror movie while also being ridiculous in its nature.
I have had it with these mother snakes on this mother plane.
Still better than the TV edit, right? Overall, I do get the appeal of horror movies in general, but it's something that I just need to get more experience with. Maybe I should check out some more Wes Craven movies, for example. I hear he was the master of horror movies in that regard. Mini Lopka asks, "What is the most obscure movie you've ever watched?" Okay, here's a movie that I can guarantee that you've probably never heard of. The movie I am of course talking about is Mosley. This was an animated fantasy that was produced in my country, from Hoo Studios, the studio that made Blaz and Poppy. An animated kids show that I assume nobody outside of New Zealand has heard of. But what I find so admirable about Mosley was that this was a long-running passion project from Jimmy Neutron animator Kirby Atkins. This guy spent upwards of 2 decades trying to develop this project, where he directed, wrote, and even voiced the titular character of the movie.
Oh my gosh, what is this?
They're dolphins, just like us, but they have hands.
They walk upright. Their backs, they're not bent.
And they have hands.
And they have hands.
This movie also makes creative and thematic use of anthropomorphism, along with a very strong and determined protagonist. Animation is very solid for the independent budget they had, and I especially love how mature and serious it takes. What the movie presents, it's very respectful and down to earth, and not talking down to the kids or anything. Even if this is the first time you've heard of Mosley, I still highly recommend giving it a chance. It is a highly admirable showcase of what you can do with passion projects in general. Calcimas asks, "If you had unlimited resources, how would you make your ideal aircraft?" Well, if I had unlimited resources, I would just max out everything. Make it all environmentally friendly, have like maximum range and all that. Just heavily reduce the time it takes to travel, and then I'll be able to visit everyone. But you gotta make it safe and follow regulations, you know? Don't want to be like Boeing. Noah asks, "What brought you into the fandom?" I have personally had a fondness of anthropomorphic characters since my childhood, and especially animal-like characters, like from Looney Tunes or Hanna-Barbera. Oh, and especially Digimon. I mean, my persona is basically based on Digimon, in case you couldn't tell. And by extension, I also had a liking in anthropomorphized machines, such as in Thomas & Friends, Transformers, and Blue Skies Robots. But it was during my teen years where I was getting more antiquated into becoming a furry myself, as I had a deep love for furry-based media such as the Ice Age movies, Over the Hedge, Surf's Up,
Oops, forgot to mention Bolt.
and especially Balto. I had such a deep connection with Balto that it pretty much convinced me that, yep, I'm gonna be a wolf dog now. I'm very happy to see that the furry fandom has become more accepted in mainstream media, as we've seen Zootopia gross over $1 billion at the box office, and I'm very curious to see what Disney has in store for the sequel coming up next year. They should totally ship Nick and Judy. Action General asks, will you visit Los Angeles and meet me? Well, there are plenty of online friends that I would love to visit in real life, but I'm just waiting for the right time to come, cause, you know, it's pricey and all that. But I will say that Los Angeles is among my bucket list destinations. Like, I would love to visit Disneyland and also go plane spotting at Los Angeles Airport. Oh, and I really want to try In-N-Out Burgers because one of my online friends is a pilot in Los Angeles and he keeps recommending me In-N-Out. Like, I can really use for burger right now. Desla asks, what are some of your favorite movies of the 2020s so far? For animated movies, I'd say we've gotten a very strong catalogue so far, and I do have a lot of favourites. Wolfwalkers, an artistically beautiful and emotional animated masterpiece. So, quite a deep and philosophical think piece, and surprisingly quite mature for a Pixar movie. Oh, and Nimona! I am so thankful for Annapurna for reviving Blue Sky's masterpiece. Man, what an incredible movie. Oh, and a big thanks to Jeff for spreading the word on saving Nimona. You're awesome, man. Metal! But I will say a surprise favourite of mine so far would be Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I never expected a Shrek spin-off of all movies to be this amazing. Like, wow. I was going through a rather dark period in my life during the movie's release, and I was just amazed of like how it presents immortality and all that, and it kind of did speak to me in that way. And also a top tier effort from DreamWorks. Incredible animation, so artistic, and also the wolf villain. Such a powerful and intimidating threat, while also being an amazing civilization of death. As for my favourite live action of the decade so far, I'd say Top Gun Maverick for sure. It is so amazing how a sequel to a cheesy 80s movie could be such a thought-provoking character piece. Now you might be wondering if any future movies of this decade will top my picks so far. Well, we've got a contender. Zona Yoshi asks, what is your favourite flavour of the bread? Banana bread. How did you get into aviation? As a child, I guess I built up the interest at my grandmother's down in Wellington. There is a great view of the airport, and I would play Flight Simulator 98 on her computer at times. Back then, I was still scared of takeoffs and the sound of jet engines, but when I became 10 years old, I overcame that, and the rest is history. I've been an aviation fan ever since, and I'm proud to be one. Alex the Wolf asks, what is your favourite commercial airliner? I'd say the wide bodies, because I find it very fascinating with the amount of range and capacity that they have. Like, massively impressive. I'm especially fascinated with the tri-jets and the quad-jets, you know, stuff like the McDonnell Douglas MD-11, the LT-11 TriStar, Boeing 747, Airbus A340, and the Illusion Il-96. I find them fascinating because they are mechanical marvels in their own right, but they were just the right plane at the wrong time because with the introduction of twin jets, more than two engines would just become obsolete. Nexu asks, what is your favourite bad movie? I have a saying that if a movie is bad, then at least have it be enjoyably bad. And there's no better example to this than The Room.
Oh, hi Mark.
I first saw The Room back in 2023 in a 35mm screening, and it was the most insane theatrical experience that I had ever seen. Everybody was quoting the infamous lines in the movie, and to top it all off, there were spoons handed to us, and we would just throw them all up into the air, and it would be like everyone shouting, and I still have one of the spoons right here. But there are also other so bad it's good media that I do personally enjoy, such as the live action Mario movie, Batman Robin, B-movie, and if we count TV shows,
You'll pay for this, Captain Planet!
Hammy the T-Rex. Sure, I can add it to my watch list. If you were to live in another country outside New Zealand, where would you like to go? Well, considering that I'm part Aussie, I would love to live in Australia if I had the chance to, but I wouldn't mind living in some of the northern countries. You know, like Canada, the United Kingdom, and the Nordic countries like Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Iceland. But for now, I consider New Zealand my home. Zach asks, what is your favourite Nike shoe? I'd say Air Jordans because Michael Jordan advertised those with the Looney Tunes.
Air Jordan and Air Jordan.
What'd you expect? Elmer Fudd?
Imagine if those commercials were turned into a feature movie, and then we'll get a sequel 25 years later. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Visual Dish asks, what's your favourite PC games? I'm not too much of a gamer myself, but by PC games I assume you're meaning games that are best experienced with a keyboard and mouse rather than a console controller, for example. But for games, I would say I'm a big fan of Valve's back catalogue of excellent shooters. You know, stuff like the Half-Life games, Portal, Left 4 Dead 2, Day of Defeat Source, and especially Team Fortress 2. My favourite strategy franchise would probably be Civilization, and as my favourite simulation game, I think you should already know by now. And that concludes my Q&A video. I hope you learned something new about me throughout this whole process, and I can't imagine how many takes I've taken in from this, because I'm not really that good at speaking, to be honest. I hope life is going well for you guys, and I hope my Q&A has helped brighten your day a little bit more. I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, bye bye! See you later guys, bye!